What's up? All right, initial thoughts leaving the theater. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah, there's way too much nostalgia grabbing this. It is a blatant, I don't know, like a little kid with car keys. Like, you just do that to keep them interested. I was way too kind on Afterlife when it came out. I still enjoy it, but was it as good as I initially thought? No. But it's still a fun movie. It's just not that good. This one is kind of in that vein, and it has the original cast a little bit more than Afterlife did, which is an absolute bonus. They weren't as sidelined as they were, yet they still were. And I don't know what was going on with the Phoebe thing. Me and Tony will talk about that. But yeah, this was just, man, we're gonna have fun talking about this one. Let's do it.
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
Wow. What's up, everybody? Etep right here with you. I'm joined by, of course, Mon0tony and AngelousDraven this evening, as we are going to discuss Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this one. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey. Good to be here.
It's,
seeing that opening trailer, like, I know Tony was like, yeah, they didn't cut anything. They cut stuff from this trailer. No. Like, everything in the trailer is in the movie, and it's pretty much the entire movie in the trailer.
It's all compressed down to that. That's basically, you just watch the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, and right now, I want to say, box office wise, this one's at 57,701,133 domestic, 16,375,000 for a total worldwide of $74,076,203. So this movie was frustrating, I will say off the bat, because there was, I want to say there was potential there for this one, but at the same time, it didn't need to happen. Like, it took how long between Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife to get a proper sequel? And then this one just splats out, 2 years later. To be fair, Afterlife was held back because of the COVID gimmick and all that shit.
I can tell you why, though. It's because, again, this is Sony, and they're not quite as big as like the Disneys and Warner Brothers. No. And even then, their number one franchise is Spider-Man, which, they're lucky they made that deal, but at the end of the day, it's not even really theirs,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even if, like, it's played out to the point where they're trying to do the Madam Web and Craven movies and whatever the hell that vampire's name is.
Oh, Morbius.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they really need more franchises. So you've got Ghostbusters Afterlife, which they took their time on, plus Ivan Reitman was still alive to help his son with it. And so this was the, Jason Reitman had an idea for a movie in Afterlife. This is, okay, I got to come up with a sequel, and I don't know what to do. And that's what this movie is, The first movie, and it's not as good as I remember, but that's mainly because of modern day, what they consider comedy, the little quirk, Marvel humor shit. But
the quippy shit it takes you out of a scene. Like, if you're in the middle of a scene, it just takes you out of it completely.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's basically what this was, the first movie, Afterlife, was not the first movie, but of this era. That was an actual idea. There was inspiration behind this. And now this was, okay, studio wants a sequel. We need to do something.
Yep.
So there was no, like, that fire wasn't lit. Like, I've got an idea for a story. I need to write this down. No, this was under pressure. This was, we need to build this new franchise because Sony doesn't have shit.
No, they really don't. And that was definitely what this was a big just cash grab.
I thought the premise was fine, like of the ghost and stuff. Like, as far as story wise, like, I thought the premise was fine.
The ghost was okay, but but the villain was so generic and underdeveloped. You got more of the lore with Gozer in the first one, and even Vigo than this.
It was just poorly executed, I think, is the issue.
Yeah, the villain was amazing. Yeah,
the villain in this was fine. The issue was they spent too much time with the Mike and Slimer stuff as a nostalgia bait. Like, he did nothing this entire movie.
No,
and then you also have the chick and the girl ghost, like, whole thing, like, that took up most of the movie. And it's just like, what are we doing?
Outside of what were they doing with are they trying to lean into like a romantic angle with that? Because that's kind of the way it came. But if you cut all that out and just the fact that she's trying to get her to come onto the astral plane or whatever the fuck she's on, so she can, the ghost can manifest himself, then okay. But you could cut 90% of that shit out of there and redistribute that time to other scenes that could have used a little more development.
Friendly human ghost is too whimsical for me for the Ghostbusters franchise. Can I just real quick address Papa? Because like, I was sharing my concerns about this movie, like, when they first released the trailers and stuff, and I really don't watch too many trailers nowadays unless I'm really looking forward to something. But I did want to check this out because, again, the first movie was serviceable, or I keep calling it the first, but Afterlife, it was serviceable. My wife and I, our thing used to be to go to the movies, and we went and saw Dune 2 at the beginning of the month. But other than that, we haven't been to the movie in quite some time. I'm pretty sure the last movie we went to see was The Shift from Angel Studios. And before that was The Sound of Freedom. But I mean, we really, like, in the past few years, more or less post-COVID, we haven't really been going to the movies very often, which, kind of makes me sad because that was our thing, We even saw the drive-in out here, go get a pizza or some fucking chemical tacos from the Bell, go to the drive-in, just kind of hang out, puff a J, eat some fast food, watch your movie, chill, So I'm just saying, like, I agree. I knew this was garbage, and I try not to support him too much, but yeah, I know my wife was looking forward to this movie. I was looking forward to seeing it with her, but yeah, again, it's not a bad movie. It wasn't necessary. Again, like,
it's like missing something. Like,
and inspiration. It's missing inspiration. There was no inspiration to tell the story. This was the money talks story. So
you're not invested in the kids. Like, nobody gives a shit about these punk ass kids.
Finn Wolfhard was horrible in this. His entire storyline should have been given to the mom. She should have been the one interacting with fucking Slimer and shit.
And Phoebe had a line where she was like, if you weren't a Spengler, you'd be answering the phones here, to her mom. And I was like, that's harsh, but she's right, because what the fuck does her mom bring to the table? Like, as far as her abilities go, I mean, at least when, they hired Winston, he was a mechanic, he had basic knowledge of that. Now, I'm not saying she doesn't, because I honestly can't remember, because they really did nothing with her except use her for one-liners back and forth with Phoebe. So it's just, like, the kids like I said, podcast. He was just kind of annoying. The Lucky or whatever her name is, you know, I would have liked more on the British guy that worked for Ernie Hudson.
The new Egon type character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was
Vinny
like,
brought this up, the black chick, like if you go by how her dad was in the first movie, the sheriff, there's no way he would have let her go to New York. But I know she is supposed to be Finn Wolfhard's age, so maybe she's 18, but it just kind of weird how everyone luckily ended up in New York from Oklahoma, you know?
Yeah, and there's like no explanation at all. Like why
podcast did mention it. He told his parents he was at space camp, which Houston, Florida, New York, same fucking thing, right? Yeah, but they did say that about him. Yeah, Lucky they gave no explanation with her, but
they sent podcast to like Homo Reform Christian camp.
They sent him, well, he'd have to go to Indiana for conversion therapy.
What up, good stuff?
What up, good stuff? Hail Hicks villain.
Yes, conversion therapy. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name.
I actually would have been more happy if they'd actually. I know Harold Ramis is dead, but they could have brought the ghost because they kind of almost alluded that she thought it was Egon.
Yeah.
And the chest thing, and since the fucking ghost can control other ghosts, they could have done an angle where Egon was like using, and it would have made more sense, and it would have been a thing. And then once he kind of like broke free of it, you know, he could have helped them out again, which would have been cool. But no, especially if you're gonna throw all this nostalgia and shit at you, you know.
Yeah,
and it would have had a little more heart to it than having this whatever the hell they were trying to do with the girl ghost in him.
Well, it all played in because she was integral to getting Phoebe to, like I said, take her spirit or her spirit out of her body.
Fantastical for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it was even for Ghostbusters, it was out there, and just like that I understood the why. I don't necessarily like that. No, Tony, you're right. It's not good writing. Like
three things, just real quick. Let me just knock this out of the park real quick. Humanoid, friendly lesbian ghosts, machines that can separate your soul from your body, and Indian guys who can control fire like a Marvel superhero. It's way too fantastical for the Ghostbusters universe. And look, we've seen giant marshmallow men fucking ravishing New York City, and that was fine. It was done in a certain way, but it's starting to feel like those later episodes of Family Matters when Steve Urkel was building time machines and him and Carl were traveling the fucking quantum realm. Like, it's like a little too far out for this universe for like what Ghostbusters is. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's just the beginning too was awful. It felt like fucking We're the Millers. You have like this family of Ghostbusters. Like, what's the mom doing? That's just them trying to slide Ghostbusters 2016 in a little more gently this time. They spit on the audience's butthole first, and it's everyone can be a Ghostbuster now because anyone can be a hero. Like, no.
Did you catch the "we'll always answer the call" line in there?
I did, but I don't remember when it was. Like, I've started phasing movie
when at the we're gonna jump all over the place with this thing, but at the end of the movie, when they come out of the firehouse after everything's melting and the crowd's around them and all the cops are holding everybody back, and the mayor shows up, Walter Peck, who comes back to be the mayor, which I'll get to that in a minute, but he starts talking to Phoebe, and they're like, "Oh, she did," and Ernie Hudson kind of takes over, and they're interviewing, because the interviewer's there, and he's kind of like dressing him down, and then they're like, "Oh," and he turns around and like, "Oh, we have your full endorsement." Blah 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 blah. Ernie Hudson's talking to the reporter, and he says, "Well, the Ghostbusters will always answer the call," and I was just like, I kind of was like, "Oh, I see what you did there." Because Ernie Hudson was in the 2016 one, as was Murray and Aykroyd. I believe Aykroyd was in that. I think he was in the 2016. I can't remember. I thought he was. I think Harold Ramis was the only one that wasn't. Was he gone? Yeah, I think he was
gone at that point.
I can't remember. But
he didn't have to see that shit.
Right?
I never watched it, but it's still fucking
I've seen it. It's terrible.
It
is absolutely
it was bad.
awful.
The villain is literally like a person that's a troll. Like,
he's an incel.
Yeah, he's an incel and a troll. Like, that's the villain.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
But so with this though, the best scenes, I will say, were with the older cast. That was the best. The Bill Murray had a couple little dingers in there, like Tall, Dark, and Horny, and he said something to Peck. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I was like, God, it's such a Peter Venkman. It was, but I know why it was done, but those were the only things that really resonated with me. Like Ernie Hudson scenes. And we just watched, for those of you getting ready to join Patreon on Monday, we just recorded a Crow commentary, and seeing Ernie Hudson in that, and then this, it was like, he still, really got that. So I liked him. Seeing Dan Aykroyd again was really cool. Paul Rudd, there was nothing for him in this outside of he was Ant-Man.
He was just trying to be the dad, the stepdad in the movie. And being awkward about it.
I didn't.
They didn't play that up enough either. So at the end of the movie, she's like, "Okay, Dad." He's like, "What did she call him?" But they didn't really. They sort of hinted at it a little, but not enough to justify that pay.
No.
And can I mention too, when they were walking out of the building at the end, like, the crowd is cheering for them, but it's like they're the ones that caused all this. Like, if there were no family of fucking Ghostbusters running around New York City, this whole catastrophe wouldn't have happened. It was them. They caused this. Like, they're just cleaning up their mess at this point.
Yeah. And you mentioned Kumail Nanjiani. His character was, I will admit, I did chuckle a few times.
I chuckled at a bunch of his stuff. I thought it was funny.
There was just a few times, just the way it was delivered. I was like, I chuckled, but the character as a whole, it doesn't belong. It doesn't fit. Tony, you mentioned that earlier. Absolutely right. It was off-putting. Oh, well, these are the Fire Masters, and they were the original Ghostbusters. It's like, why?
See, I didn't mind that.
That the Ghostbusters aren't some ancient fucking lineage. It was.
Well, they equated them to Ghostbusters. Like, I wouldn't say that they're like the original Ghostbusters. I'd say
it doesn't need that. It doesn't. It didn't fit.
It's just he can control fire. Okay, I've accepted that. I'll let it go for the movie. And then he starts controlling the fucking things. I don't remember the name of the Ghostbusters guns.
Oh, the proton packs.
Yeah, the proton packs.
Beams.
He started controlling those. Like, come on, dude. Like, that's not fire. Like,
that's plasma. They're a little different.
Yeah. So it's like I accepted it. It's like, okay, he can control fire, and then he's fucking controlling the proton pack stream. It's like, all right, that's fucking stupid.
I didn't. Yeah. Like, I can understand and accept. I can't even remember the villain's name, but him, freezing, because, like they said, he's not a typical ghost. He's a deity. So it's like the laws of physics don't really apply in the same way. So like but yeah, him Kumail Nanjiani's character, what's his name? Nadeem, I think his name was, controlling that was a bit much. Like it really was.
Patton
Like,
Oswalt's character too was also useless, and they could have just got some random schmuck to fucking do that, and not had him. Because all he was a plot dump, like a
exposition dump.
Yeah, an exposition dump, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like you could have got anybody to do that, and then saved up them funds to like improve on your script or whatever.
Well, there was so much. I don't even know what the runtime was. I was looking at the clock in the theater though. And the thumbnail is the theater that I saw this in. That's except for the mermaid isn't exactly Tony, but no, I just this was Patton Oswalt. We could talk about that one for a minute. Yeah, anybody could have played that role. He didn't add anything, but he wasn't like this Pat. It wasn't that bad. It was just like
no, but it's
they
just
could have
got anyone.
I don't like Patton Oswalt. They could have gotten anybody to fucking do that. It could have been literally anybody.
Who was it? Someone on Vinny's stream, I think, mentioned that could have been Rick Moranis.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to make a cameo in this, but I didn't pay enough attention to the lead up. I didn't.
I personally like the whole possessed items thing and like them extracting the items and putting them into the new containment thing and like having the possession ghost or whatever and like that whole thing. I just wish they would have like went more into it. They kind of like showed you all this stuff, and then went nowhere with it. Like,
just I like that. I really like that aspect of it, but still, you shouldn't be able to separate a soul from its body and then not just be fucking dead.
Well, I get what they were kind of insinuating that like your body is being possessed by your spirit, and basically it's kind of the same thing as a possessed item. Like,
I also like how they were scared of Christianity in this movie. So instead of crossing over and going to heaven or something, you're crossing over and becoming part of the fabric of the universe.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was
like, we're already part of the fabric of the universe. What are you fucking talking about? Like,
yeah. And I saw Hicks Villain mentioned Walter Peck. So
is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
I've had that gift for a long fucking time. No, that I didn't mind seeing Walter Peck back. I know what it was for, but I mean it was kind of funny that he ended up the mayor, but yeah, still, are you Ghostbusters? That whole, but yeah, they caused more damage that was their own fault, like Tony mentioned.
So you're telling me that New York City has Mayor Eric Adams, and they whitewashed him in this movie?
New York has a brand. We got a brand. We need help. We can't handle this.
We need the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, would that work with the never mind.
They are aliens.
Stay on target. Stay on target. They're aliens, not ghosts. Stay on target. I promised myself I wouldn't do that, but no. So you really don't get as much. And did you guys notice the clip of them using the music video? Like that exists in universe now.
Yeah.
Like,
which makes sense because they were doing the commercials and stuff for their thing. So like, I'm all right with that. Like,
how they the context was fine.
Yeah. The toy I did like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, like the toy commercial, and I was like, that's the original toy commercial, you know. That was kind of like, one of those nostalgia things where it's like, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, especially because of Ghostbusters 2, they were doing that
Yeah,
in Ghostbusters 2.
yeah. So that I was okay with. But a lot, like I said, there was like the ghost in the library. After you have the guy from the
Mhm.
library originally, you have the same ghost that looked like there came at Ray, kind of charged at Ray
Yeah.
when they were running out. But yeah, there was. I mean, honestly, there was what I would say if you took all of the scenes with Phoebe and the what was her name? I can't remember.
I
Even
don't even
think of the
remember her
other.
name. The Flame Ghost lady girl.
Yeah, the girl, the other girl, younger female ghost,
Melody.
Melody. Thank you. If you took all those scenes out and probably the Slimer, you leave like one of those in,
Mhm.
at least, but it's got to be a one-off. Like
Yeah,
you
like, when he
don't need,
first finds him, that was fine.
yeah,
But then him,
yep.
like, having to go around the house, like, trying to clean up, like, to lead a trail of Cheetos and all this stuff, like, you don't need that.
No, so you have about 15 minutes, I would say,
Mhm.
between the Slimer stuff, maybe, I mean, I might be, but with all the Melody and Phoebe shit, if you took the worthless scenes out of them, you need one scene of them playing chess. You
Mhm.
don't need half the shit with them walking around. I
You
mean,
could have
it just
expanded the, Paul Rudd and him wanting to be a stepdad, kinda stuff even further, like, not just with Phoebe, but with, um, Mike as well. Um,
yeah, you could have done more with some of the other characters that actually would have made the movie better instead of just bogging it down, and it got in its own way. I feel like
mhm.
those scenes, that's kind of what they did. And it didn't add anything. It was like it was a net loss for me on those. I couldn't, I don't know. Like I said, I don't hate the movie,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it almost has to justify its own existence because it just is there. It's
Yeah.
not, honestly, like I said, I'll take the wife and kid will probably want to. And tonight, what it cost me, $15, you know, for my ticket and concessions, and it's a family owned theater, so
Another thing they should have had more with because like the ghost that turns shit to ice and stuff or whatever.
yeah,
They should have because he could control other ghosts. Why didn't they do like in 2 where they had like a montage with all the ghosts and stuff being
and
controlled by him and them having to go bust those ghosts and stuff and then lead into the part where he like because he obviously is like God. So why is he gonna do all the labor himself? He's gonna use his minions to do that for him. So you lead in to have him use the minions. That doesn't work. So then he has to step up and come in and try to finish the job. You know what I mean? Kind of like
yeah.
build into it.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You
He
you
grabs
said add
control of
more
it.
with him.
Yeah,
Yeah, add
and
add
boom,
more
that's it.
scenes with him.
Yeah.
Hicksville said they needed a ghost montage too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the shit you could have taken the Phoebe and Melody scene, some of the Slimer time, and put it towards a montage
Mm-hmm.
and developing that big bad, showing him controlling those other ghosts. It would have made way more sense
Mm-hmm.
than what we got, which was kind of just a letdown overall. That's the best way I can describe the bulk of this movie was just kind of a letdown.
Well, one thing, all the movies are the fucking same now. Like, you get your
Mhm.
Baby Groot, Baby Yoda, the Twig thing from Fantastic Beasts. In this, you have the mini Marshmallow Mans, which
Mm-hmm.
was also brought up on Vinny's stream. Gozar is dead. That was a creation
Yep.
of Gozar. Why are
Yep.
there Stay Puft
Yeah.
Marshmallow Mans
I
running
didn't
around?
Yeah.
understand that either.
Even in Afterlife, it made sense, but not in this movie. And they're
No.
literally a roach infestation in this. And then a point Chris Fisk made was you could really relate to Phoebe in Afterlife. She was this nerdy, autistic, silent kid who, tinkered with things. And when Harold Ramis was trying to speak out to everyone, she's the one that listened, and I don't know, her character was pretty cool in the first movie. And in this movie, she's just a bratty lesbian chick crying that she's not 18 yet and just not acting like the Phoebe we got to know from the first movie. It's like her character was a downgrade in this, like severely.
Yeah. They definitely had more quality writing for her but that was Ivan's. I think that was more Ivan Reitman's influence on the overall, character development and arc for her, and in her relation to Egon, where in this she's angsty now. There's they don't really mention how long the time jump is because there's a definite
2 years.
time.
They
Is
say
it
2 years. Yeah, they say 2 years.
Okay. All right, I didn't catch it. So so we got a 2-year time jump.
Mm-hmm.
So how old was she supposed to be in Afterlife? It's been
15
so long since
or
I've
16,
watched it.
something like that.
13, because she was 15 in this.
Okay, so she's 15 in this. She doesn't strike me as the kind of teen that would be angsty, but I mean, because not all teens are angsty. I mean, I don't
and then
know.
the constant reminder that what's his name? Mike is fucking 18. He's like, hey guys, guess what? I'm 18. It's dude,
I'm an adult. I'm an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they murdered his character too, but her, she's smarter than that, and she's the cause of all the problems in this movie, like all of them. From the Ghostbusters almost getting shut down to fucking a big ice demon destroying the fucking city. Like, she's the cause of all of the problems. And it's like, if I'm supposed to, see things through her point of view or relate to her, or, you guys are failing in that aspect.
Yeah,
Well, I'm assuming they before Egon even went to the thing, they were busting ghosts and stuff after Ghostbusters 2, and that's what filled it up. And then
that I was very confused on, because I thought all the equipment was in Oklahoma. So the original containment unit was there all those years when it was shut down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, again,
I can't. It's like I said, I haven't watched. I've watched 1 and 2 more recently than I watched Afterlife.
Yeah, AMC had them both on back to back. The weekend we were in Horror Hound, so I watched most of the first one and then a little bit of the second one.
Nice. Those are always a good watch. But this I like rewatchability. I'll check it out, and I'll probably end up buying it for the kid because he does like these movies, and this is far less offensive than the 2016 one, which I mean, I want to talk about in terms of quality. This one's still, and I'm not just saying this to be, to dunk on the 2016 one, because that one did a good enough job of that itself.
Yeah.
Literally the marketing for that movie alone and Hillary Clinton's endorsement of that just killed it. That movie was dead in the water. And then when they pushed Ivan Reitman out of that, and this, what we got was Ghostbusters Answer the Call, which is Ghostbusters in name only. That movie is god awful from start to finish. This has weak moments and weak scenes and just bad dialogue, but it's not that offensive, if that makes sense.
But in a way, that is the offense. Like, I never saw Ghostbusters 2016, but at least it fucking stood for something, even if it was bullshit. This movie is a soulless husk.
Yeah, it is kind of soulless. There's a little chuckle moments here and there.
Yeah.
And it's not a terrible movie. It's just meh.
Well, they should have given Jason Reitman time to actually get inspiration, write a movie that he has a good idea for. But again, they were under pressure because Sony desperately needs a franchise. So they're like, produce, and this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So what Sony needs, and you can say this about all the production companies in Hollywood, but more so Sony needs an original idea that they can turn into a franchise. Because I'm just, you can't dig up the successes of the 80s
Mm-hmm.
or reboot Spider-Man 1,700 times. You need to come up with an original idea, or more so, there are so many books out there with great stories that haven't been told. Take a chance. If there's no risk, there's no reward. I mean, they need to do something. Like, discs are going out of style, and at least Sony used to collect royalties from that. You know, they invented disc technology. That's going the way of the dodo. Your studio's fledgling, and I like Sony as a company when they're not all crazy and woke, you know. They need to come up with an original idea or find a great book that hasn't been made and spin off of that. And you know, it doesn't matter what they do. Like, you're not going to be able to drag Ghostbusters on forever, just like you're not going to be able to do that with Spider-Man. And Ghostbusters as a franchise, it peaked in the first movie, and it hasn't gotten better than that since. So come on, let's do something new. Do something that's going to interest people, intrigue people. You know, it's insane how, you know, I call the movie soulless and mediocre, but just how soulless and mediocre Hollywood is in itself. This is just the perfect reflection of that.
Yeah. And you never, honestly, and I say this is somebody who really, really likes Ghostbusters 2. That movie really doesn't need to exist. It didn't need to exist. It was a self-contained story. This could have been one movie. The second one was just kind of a bonus for us growing up in the 80s. It's like, well, we got two of these, you know?
I seen Ghostbusters 2 first, so it will always be my favorite.
And I heard them,
I didn't.
I heard the video game was fantastic.
The video game was great.
Yeah, I always meant to play that, and I never did. I still need to fucking play it. But yeah, I heard the story in that was supposed to be the third movie. But
somebody edited all the cutscenes together.
It sucks too because they remastered it, but they didn't put the co-op stuff into it. Because I guess there was like, I don't know, there was some issues with it or whatever, so they just decided not to put it in it. But I wanted to do that like on a stream because you could have everybody be Ghostbusters.
Oh, that would have been
and play through the story, and it would have been awesome.
I would have loved to do that and have Draven yell at me the entire time. That would have been so much fun.
Because you have the Slimer thing in the plot, like the thing, and you're like shooting up. There's even like an achievement to like not do a shit ton of damage for the thing and all that stuff. Because all your jobs are based on like how much money you get at the end on if you do a lot of damage or to like surroundings and all that stuff. So yeah.
It looks like it's on the Switch. I should get it. It's $30.
Oh, it is?
It's good.
Yeah.
I might have to scoop that up. That'd be fun. And here we are. Like this is how this movie. We're talking about Ghostbusters 2, the video game, you know, and you know this. But a good, you know, like we could sit here and we could talk about Ghostbusters 1 and 2 for hours and still talk about them. This is exactly what it is. It's just a blip on the radar and it's gone.
I would just say, like, I know Jeff had mentioned it, but it's the streaming. Like, wait till streaming to see it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a kind of a one, for me, it's a once and done kind of thing. Afterlife is kind of the same way for me. It was kind of once and done. I never picked it up or anything, but I don't normally pick up movies unless they like really move me. Like, I won't spend money on it unless it's like this is the best damn thing in the world kind of thing. So
I buy a ton of movies just to have them, just in case. You know what I mean?
because
Yeah, I've got a
I
massive
used to pick
physical
up
movie
movies like
collection.
all the time back in the day when like Kmart had them for like $15, like new releases for $15. Yeah, fucking right. But then they went up to like $20 or more, and it's like, yeah, I can't. Something I'm gonna just watch once and be done. Yeah, I'm good.
Did you guys see Jurassic World Dominion?
I did.
Yeah.
That movie did for me probably about the same as this movie. It's just it's not
there.
necessarily bad, but it just there's no reason for it to really exist. Like that there wasn't, same with Fallen Kingdom, like there wasn't really. I kind of like the first Jurassic World. I like, it feels good to be in the parks, and then the sequels I don't enjoy them as much, but in the movies where they actually have the park up and running, which is, just Jurassic World and of course Jurassic Park, those are the movies I really like. But that's another franchise where, there aren't actual ideas past the first, modern movie.
I like the first half of Lost World when they're on the island, and then after that, when they get to the city, it jumps the shark at that point.
Yeah, I'll still take Lost World over any of the newer sequels. Like besides the first Jurassic Park's my favorite movie, and then Jurassic World is my second, and then maybe Jurassic Park 3. But same thing, like they're under pressure from the studio to produce, but there's no actual like artistic passion to make these movies. And it very much shines through. Like, honestly, I want to know what happened to the kids in Jurassic World. The kid who played Iron Man's little buddy in Iron Man 3 and his older brother. Like, I want to know what happened to them, and they were like never heard from again.
Yeah, Harley Keener. That kid. Yeah. Yep, him and his brother. His brother was a dick. Like I was kind of hoping he would have like gotten eaten by something, because he was just a fucking dick. No, the Jurassic Fallen Kingdom, I got angry. Like I was fucking.
That was the one with the raptor and the laser at the end, right?
Yes.
The Indo raptor.
I forgot part of that movie. I just blocked it out of my head.
Trey used to love that movie, and
jeez.
That, and again, talking about fantastical, like Blue goes from this crazy raptor who just, happened to recognize Chris Pratt because she's been around him his whole life. And in the second movie, it's a fucking Marvel hero. It's like a good guy. Like, why isn't it ripping the kids apart? Like, I don't know. It's
that
weird.
didn't make it.
Or Claire apart, or fucking,
Yeah.
Blue became a good guy. Like, I don't think dinosaurs are good guys or bad guys. They just rip shit apart. I mean,
that's cool.
There you go. I wanted to, like I said, we're kind of Ghostbusters fans here, and I got you got the characters over here from Afterlife on the left, and then we got the original, the OGs over here, and
the final battle of Frozen Empire.
That's the
like.
That's the vintage firehouse right there. We got that, and then
I did like how they possessed the because they did that in the cartoon. I liked how they possessed the Ecto-1. I just wish it would have turned into like a monster thing. You know what I mean?
Like
that would have been like in the cartoon. That would have been cool.
I told you guys I have a picture of Vigo on Trey's wall. And there it is, right there.
That's great.
Oh yeah, he's got like I said, all the that's in his room, and this is the walk-in toy closet. But yeah, that's the Ghostbusters right there.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, I've that was the first VHS, that and the G.I. Joe animated movie. First VHSs I rented when we got our VCR, and I'll never forget that because I watched that fucking tape 3 or 4 times in the 24 hours we had it. I fucking love that movie as a kid, and I still do. We had a greater appreciation for real comedy because this little sarcastic humor, it's not it. It's not funny. It's just, it's stupid. And it's insulting to actual comedy, you know, and it doesn't translate well. And movies like this, and like your MCU movies, that's all they feature is that kind of humor, that James Gunn humor, because that's
and it undermines any serious like tone.
Yeah, any scene that builds tension, ruined with a quip. It's build, quip, build, quip, build. It keeps pulling the story down.
Which makes there be no stakes, and then it undermines any kind of it just undermines everything.
Yeah. It ruins it. And that's why in 20 years nobody's going to be watching Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and going, man, that's my favorite. You know, but people will still be watching the original and probably part 2. You know, that's the hallmark of a good movie or even a cult classic. But these movies, and they don't have that. It doesn't have that ability, you know. And we've seen movies that, you know, may not have been successful when we were a little bit younger, turn, you know, even 20 years ago, turned into cult classics. Now movies like UHF, this doesn't have it. There's nothing to glom onto. There's the only thing you could, like, the one thing I did want to say at the end was how, you know, the mom and Paul Rudd's character and Mike were helping Phoebe, and then you had, you know, the older cast on the other side. That was kind of like almost like a familial kind of, you know what I mean, moment, which was, that was kind of nice.
Again,
but it was just
I'm so sorry, dude.
No, it's okay. I was just
yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Continue.
No, I was just gonna say that was like the one thing I was like, it's kind of a positive familial thing, especially with like you know, Rudd and whatever the chick's name is, it plays mom, and Phoebe and Mike. But, you know, the other side, it's like they're doing this for nostalgia. They got, you know, it gave them a reason to put them together, which, like I said, those were the best scenes in the movie, was the older cast to me. Be it for nostalgia bait or not, still it outweighed the quality of any scenes with the newer characters.
I would have changed the final scene just a little bit. You know, when you're talking about they had all the Ghostbusters at the end, everyone was in their suits.
Yeah.
I would have had, like, when I can't remember his name right now, the villain, and it was a great villain. Like, I wish we would have gotten more of him in the movie, you know, than just Act 3. I would have, like, if I were Jason Reitman, I would have had the villain begin to freeze everyone, except he would have, you know, made E. Jean Carroll with Janine in her Ghostbusters. Like, he would have just brutally assaulted her in a sexual while everyone's frozen. Like, oh my God, why did we think it was a good idea to have a 70-year-old woman Ghostbuster?
They made her a Ghostbuster
for help, and no one can fucking help her.
Yeah.
No, they're all frozen. They just have to fucking watch as Janine is pulverized to death.
She became a Ghostbuster in the cartoon, so that's why they did it in this.
I know, but she wasn't 70 years old in the cartoon.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
that's why she had an arm. She had Shuri's. That was Wakandan technology.
Well, look, you can complain to, well, Bill Murray's that old, so Bill Murray can do, okay. Cast her for Gran Torino and tell me if that works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, men have a certain stoicism about them, and again, even Anyway, Janine would have been brutally sexually assaulted in front of everyone. And I mean graphic. Like, kids would be crying in the theaters.
Why did I turn monetization on?
It's like the in Fight Club when they put the clip of the thing in the Disney movie. Oh jeez. And the kid just randomly bursts into tears in the middle of the theater and they have no idea why.
Sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you.
Yep.
Poor Janine. Hail Midnight's Oblivion. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Sean. In game. Like, who asked for it?
Mm-hmm.
Who asked for it?
Yeah. Oh, nobody. Nobody asked for vagina candles in Endgame.
Like, her mask flips up and you're supposed to be like, oh, it's Pepper, but nobody cared. Like, everyone's just, who asked for this? Like, I get Tony Stark building her a suit for protection, sure, but it's like, it flips up the mask and it's conveying to you, like, finally, after 22 movies, Pepper's in the fight.
Yeah. It's rescue! Yeah, which even at the end of Iron Man 3, okay, for shits and giggles, that's fine. But anyway, same thing here. It just shows Janine all decked out. And it's like, you should be baking cookies for everyone for when the fucking fight is over and knitting a fucking sweater. Like, and I am sexist, but it's just who? I mean, I get some, I don't know. Again, she wasn't 70 years old in the real Ghostbusters. And it was a cartoon, so they could get away with a little more,
Yeah.
Little more suspension of disbelief to be had there with Janine being a Ghostbuster when she wasn't almost an octogenarian.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be like, for the love of God, somebody help me. And they're just frozen and forced to watch.
he's using those long nails to do it.
Yeah.
Oh God. I hate you so much, Draven.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that fucking imagery.
I'm glad I can help.
Yeah, that would be a service. Thank you for your cervix. Oh, poor Janine. As if she didn't already have a hysterectomy.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, there's probably something of that on the internet somewhere. Oh, yeah. 34, if it exists, there's that of it.
The ice goes brutally Bill Cosbying, oh God. Yeah, that was an underwhelming villain as the villains have gone in that.
Plus, why didn't he turn people to ice and then shatter them like he did in the beginning with the those people? Because I was going to bring up everybody's fear or whatever turned into, which is why it turned you to ice. So
give them more. Yeah,
the beach should have been he should have been straight up murking people on the beach,
right. Like they didn't know that they showed all the scenes in the trailer, and then there was so little delivery on anything. The beach, that would have been a bloodbath. But then if you listen to the lore part of it, when Patton Oswalt was, and they were going through the little animated sequence with the glyphs and stuff, I thought he was trying to build an army of basically ice zombies.
Of ghosts.
It was just, I don't know. It was the whole thing.
Which would make sense. Why not kill more people so you can have more ghosts?
Right? That's kind of what I was.
You know what would have made more sense? And we made this point the other night too. Neil Nanjiani. There was a point in the movie when he's trying to manipulate the fire. And he looked down and he saw the old armor that was passed down through his family.
Yeah.
And with the whole thing of items being possessed, it would have made a lot more sense had the armor been possessed, which allowed him to manipulate fire while wearing it. instead of just being able to fucking control fire and proton packs with his hand. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah.
And that would have explained it better, and it wouldn't have been so kind of out there for the lore of the Ghostbusters universe.
Well, the problem with doing that is they made the ghost, like the main villain, being able to possess or to control other like things.
But it could have been like his slain brother or something. Like banned to the armor forever. I don't know.
Why didn't they use his grandmother or something then? Because she was obviously connected to it, you know. I don't know. There was a lot of things that didn't necessarily make sense in this, and underdeveloped plot points. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was. But yeah, this is why Sigourney wasn't in the film. She's been banged by ghosts enough.
Well, she was probably smart enough to, because that's another thing. This movie, like you said, relied on nostalgia. And there were a lot of points in this movie where, like, hey, it's Bill Murray. Hey, it's Dan Aykroyd. And it's like, I even enjoyed Dan Aykroyd's role in this. Like, if it was just him and then you'd see Ernie every now and then, fine. But it was showing you these characters, like, look who it is. It's like, yeah, I saw them 2 years ago. Like, and not that I'm not happy to see them again, but just in the way they're being presented. Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
And Winston having a stern talking to Aykroyd, to Ray, which is interesting too. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly, CJP. That's exactly what it was.
Yep. Yeah, that's all it boiled down to was just member berries.
So Sigourney Weaver was like, yeah, I don't need to be in this. I'm 70 years old. I don't belong in a Ghostbusters outfit. I belong at home.
Raising Oscars,
baking cookies, and doing things that a 70-year-old grandma is supposed to do, which isn't fighting ghosts.
That's who they should have had show up, Oscar, and have him help the Ghostbusters. Because he would be in his, he'd be old enough.
Yeah. He should have shown up as the Hand from WWE.
Yeah, Oscar'd be like in his 30s by now, mid to late 30s. So yeah, mid 30s.
Yeah. That would be dope.
I'm good with that, Nano. I'm absolutely fine with that. May they go by the way of the dodo. I would be absolutely.
I feel like they already have, to some degree. Like the last 3 or 4 movies or more have been flops.
We're entering the era of video game movies.
Yeah,
like just like comic book
and
movies
manga movies.
What movies?
And manga and anime movies, like live action, and video games is like the big thing now.
Yeah, because like video games and comic books both, it took them a while to get the movies right, but then when they finally did, it went pretty far, it peaked pretty high, and now same thing with video games. We all remember Double Dragon and Mario Brothers movies, which I like Double Dragon, but
it was alright for the time.
Yeah, and then you have your good ones. You had your, Christopher Reeve's Superman or something, which was pretty good. And you have your fucking, Mortal Kombat movie. The first movie I know was, okay, looking back, it may not be the best movie, but I know as a Mortal Kombat fan, I was happy with it at the time. But yeah, now we're entering that big era of video game movies. And the same thing will happen. It'll peak. It'll get really good for a while. And then it'll shit the bed when people who don't know what makes it special start having creative control over it.
Yeah. So do either of you have anything else you want to add on Frozen Empire before we take it home?
Just Viola Davis is the Lone Ranger.
Is it bad? Is it bad that I actually want to see a third one and see where they go from here?
Oh my god.
Oh, did you see what Hicks villain said? One of the actors that played Oscar died in 2017.
Ah,
Oh,
that's fucking sad.
didn't know that.
I didn't either. But
Just because I want to see the other containment unit and all that shit used, and see if they expand on that stuff.
If they do a third one, was there a post credit scene or anything? Because I just laughed.
There was with the marshmallows.
So I didn't miss it.
Yeah, the marshmallows or whatever like took over the. I think it was podcast was in a thing or something, and it like was all over they were all over the fucking place.
Lame.
If I remember correctly. So nothing that like would make it like connect to another one, but just kind of a little, extra.
They're leaving. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. So I was gonna say they're just leaving it open ended to see how much money this makes, if it's gonna be worthwhile to do another one. That's exactly what they're waiting for.
Just before we go, I have a question for Nano Reaper. He says, actually, Weaver's thought pattern was, this movie is woke enough for me and I got enough money. I don't need this paycheck. Nano Reaper, where the fuck are all the other Sigourneys? Where are all the other Sigourneys in the world? I only know Sigourney Weaver. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm done.
But he just leaves. Tony just fucking leaves. That's it, gang. Well, thank you, Draven, for joining us last minute. And thank you, everybody in the chat. Nano and Hicks Villain, Brutal Morningwood, CJP, Shawnee Step, Midnight's Oblivion, Papa Cotton, Salty Ass was here. Good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Appreciate you guys. We will see you again for episode 300. Oh, there's Tony. He came back. I was just, but we got episode 300 of Going in Raw Monday night, and a whole big bag of surprises for you guys. And yeah, next week we got the horror show kicking off. It's going to be a good time. I'll be on Get Ranked Sunday night over on Beelzebub with Devil Made Me Do It and the gang. We're talking about the greatest baby faces of the golden era of wrestling. So yeah, you can check that out and subscribe if you're not. Follow us on Twitter at The Place to Be RE1. I'm Etep Queen from The Place to Be Reviews. We've been here with all these. We don't see you. Have a great day. A pleasant tomorrow. We will catch you on the next one.